we're going to start our regional predictions. These are going to be relatively short because, again, I've had a sick giblet on my hands this week, and he's napping right now. So I have to make this short. So we're going to do regionals for NA, then we'll do Europe. For YouTube, it'll be NA will be today. Europe will be tomorrow. Adams with the 22 months. Thank you so much, man. Welcome back. But let's get into it. Let's talk about it because it's very interesting this season. I think I haven't looked into last season. I'm trying to remember how the momentum was swaying. But I feel like there was a little bit more momentum for 3 and 4 teams generally last season. Like Space Station, maybe not because they lost a rope. But Cloud9 definitely had some good momentum going in as a 3 seed. This season, in both sides, it's like there's no momentum at all for the 3 and 4. There's a ton of momentum for 5 and 6, so it should be interesting. But again, we'll focus on NA here. So Rogue and Birds. The way I'm going to do it is I'm not going to put scores and where they get onto the bracket. I'll just write them in as we know their place here. Let's get into it. E-United, sorry, not Birds anymore. Changing things up on us. Let's see how many times we say Birds. I feel like we won't say Birds as much as the Peeps because, honestly, the Birds is just a bad name. Sure, it was Birds and the Bees. That's still a bad name. So we probably won't say it as much as the Peeps. So I think we'll be okay there. So let's get into it. So we'll talk about Rogue and E-United. Obviously, both teams coming in relatively hot. I think some people would argue that E-United, I almost said Birds, not as hot. And it's going to be hard because their name is Birds up here. Because they beat a Ghost team that really didn't matter much at this point. But let's not forget that their match right before that, they went to 5 versus the Pittsburgh Knights. So they're not terrible. And honestly, they kind of weren't very hot towards the end based on losses. Obviously, they lose to Rogue the week before. Their last win that meant something was the start of week 3 versus Cloud9. So maybe not as much momentum going in, but they've been pretty consistent throughout the season. The one thing that I always say about this Rogue series versus Birds, sure, the Birds didn't play all that well. Rogue also a lot of luck on their side as well. They had a lot of pre-jumps to intercept passes that I was like, if you miss these pre-jumps, it was going to get ugly fast. Obviously, Rogue turned it around in the final week, and Rogue looked pretty good. They took down Cloud9, where Cloud9 wasn't looking terrible. They also took down Energy, which obviously Energy, that game's a little bit up in the air of how much did it matter for them. It's still a quality win versus Energy, even if they don't care that much, because they can still win tournaments that way. So Energy is still a tough opponent there. And Rogue's doing it again. Doing the same thing as last season. Last season, they took down Space Station to make playoffs. Then they ride through this. And you know what? I'm sick and tired of this, Rogue. I'm sick and tired of your shit. I am going to go with E-United taking this win. I feel like Birds, at least over the season, have been more consistent. Sure, Rogue, when they're hot, they're hot. And AJ's PC just died. Maybe that's going to slightly edge me this way because I don't know what exactly he's doing. But you know what? My heart can't take anymore. It just can't, Rogue. It's not going to happen again. Rogue comes in 6th. It'll probably be a close series, but, hey, we got to pick someone here. So, E-United will move on in that bottom part. Let's go up to the Pittsburgh Knights and Ghost Gaming. So, again, these are all best of 7s as well, so we'll have lots of games this weekend. Pittsburgh Knights Ghost is a weird one because Pittsburgh Knights, when you look at their stats, they're not great in terms of shots. They're dead last in shots per game. Their shot differential is the worst in the league. That's behind Rogue, who had a lot of miserable weeks. It's just that they convert. They convert so well. Their shooting percentage is number 1. Their save percentage is number 1. So on both sides of the field, they're converting well with saves or with shots most of the time. I feel like they're on this knife's edge, though, where this can't keep happening. This can't keep working the way that it's working. I feel like they have to find possession. They have to come up with more shots per game. To have more possession is all I want from the Pittsburgh Knights. Because again, I am worried that if someone's not shooting well on a day, it could totally screw over Pittsburgh Knights. Or if someone has some bad defensive plays, could totally screw them over based on how they're playing now, where it's more counterattack heavy, it's more demo heavy, which is good. Obviously, you don't need as many shots, and your shooting percentage will be great when there's wide open nets. But I worry about them being on knife's edge. Now, obviously, this is how it's been since DreamHack, right? Where we're like, can this continue? And I think it's just it can continue, but I just think they need more possession. And I know that they can do that. So we'll see if that happens here. Ghost has been a very possession-heavy team where they're just not converting on their chances. So it's kind of the yin and yang here of, like, which one folds. Ghost beat them back in week 1. I'm going to go Ghost here. I'm going to go Ghost because I do think that possession will reign supreme here just a little bit. And I think a Ghost can make Pittsburgh Knights have a few more mistakes. So I'm going to think Ghost is going to come through and go into the semis versus Space Station. Ghost hasn't been playing all that well lately either. It's a little bit of an upset, I would say, here. But I like Ghost here. I like Ghost. Like, I liked him versus G2, and I was right there. I'm going to keep it going. Obviously, they lost to Birds. How much did that matter? Who knows? So I'm going to go Ghost over Pittsburgh Knights, which will lead to Pittsburgh Knights versus E United for the last spot. What did they play? They played... They had, where did they play? They played right here. Oh, yeah. Week 4. It went to 5 games. I do think Pittsburgh Knights is the better team than E United, and I do think the top 4 will stay the same top 4. I think E United will fall here, and Pittsburgh Knights will still move on. I just have a feeling Ghost is going to take that win there. Moving on to the semis. Obviously, we can't fill in our top 4 yet. We'll start with Space Station Ghost. Space Station Ghost. Space Station's playing well, man. Like, I really like what Arsenal's doing. Obviously, we got Cypical. He's doing fantastic as well, but everyone's going to be talking about him all weekend. So I'm going to talk about Arsenal a bit. Like, Arsenal, just the solo plays have been fantastic. The team play in general from them, been great. If you saw Jorby's tweet, like, Arsenal's leading the league in demos as well. So getting a lot done. Space Station, obviously, really strong finish. 3-2 versus G2, which is closer than you would want. But they got the win, and then a 3-0 versus Pittsburgh Knights. A 3-0 over Rogue as well. So, pretty good. When did they play Ghost is where I want to look at. Am I missing this here? Oh, yeah, right here. 3-2. So, Space Station has some good opponents, at least. It's 2 rematches, whoever they play, Ghost or Pittsburgh Knights, and they beat them both. This was... Week 4 went to 5 games, went to overtime as well, so very close series. Space Station, that's one thing I like about them this season is they've been clutching it up, man, which is something that you don't say a lot from them. 2 game, 5 overtimes in back-to-back weeks, Cloud9 and then Ghost. They get those wins. G2, was this overtime? No, right? No, that was the 6-1, but they got the overtime win in game 4. So a lot of clutch victories. I like that about a team. I do. I like that a lot. I think Space Station is the better team than Ghost. I think Space Station is also extremely hot going into these playoffs and could make some noise. So I got Space Station here, which means if Ghost loses this, they still get 4th, even though they beat Pittsburgh Knights because it's based on league play. I personally would have it as like what your semifinal seed is. Like, I think last season was the same thing where Triple Trouble, I think, earned the 3 seed while PSG earned the 4th seed. But whatever. Ghost gets the 4th seed here. Moving on to Energy versus Pittsburgh Knights. It was a close Game 5 series last time. I think Energy is pretty good at Rocket League. There's no question on that. I think their one weakness is the Turbo defensive line when he's on the goal line. As long as, like, Justin Garrett don't overcommit too much, I don't think that's a huge problem. Turbo's also great as that third man when he has to pick up on the offensive side, when to move up, when to not. He does a fantastic job there. I think Energy's offense is just a little bit too much for Pittsburgh Knights, and Energy win the series. I don't think it'll be as close as like as last time. Like, I think Energy's going to come out and be playing really well and take down the Pittsburgh Knights. Obviously, they lost to Rogue, but who knows? Who knows if that meant much. Now we got Space Station versus NRG in the finals. I think everyone expects this. I think most people will pick NRG here. I think Energy is going to win it. Space Station, we'll put them in number 2. It's not bad for a season after last season where they collapsed in the playoffs. They don't have to worry about it as much, but they still get the number 2 seed. Space Station's a good team, though, man. Watch out for them in the finals. Like, I think Space Station... So I think all these teams, Space Station, Knights, and Ghost, are going to be really fun to watch at the World Championship, if they all make it, obviously. Because not a lot of experience on these teams. Actually, like, 0 experience at the World Championship. So that'll be really fun to see. Like, obviously, Knights a little bit more experienced, if you want to say, because of the DreamHack Day 3 run. But it's going to be interesting to see because I think they're all playing pretty well. We'll see about Ghost. I need to see this weekend to see if they're playing well or not. But the other two, at least, Space Station and Pittsburgh Knights, for the most part, playing well. It's going to be really interesting to see going into the World Championship, where I think, like, if we're just watching league plays, I do think that Space Station and Knights, at least, look better than most European teams. But again, European teams have a lot of experience at the World Championship. We'll see if that plays a factor. Should be interesting. And obviously energy that they get both Cloud9 and G2 out of there in terms of experience at World. So they're going to have like probably the most experience or the only experience at the World Championship for North America. Then it just comes down to can energy take down the European teams and finally take their title. Could be OC and Sam as well. Who knows? But lately they haven't been doing all that much. But we'll see going into the season. But that's my regionals for NA. Tell me why I'm wrong in chat. So Energy, Space Station, Knights, Ghost, United, Rogue. I think Rogue obviously has a chance to make that run. My heart can't take it anymore. It just can't. It just depends like how they're playing. Like if AJ's PC broke and they need AJ to be playing like the best in RLCS, like when he does, when it matters the most, I guess. We'll see. I assume that probably won't be too much of a factor, but who knows. Wonder, I think, has been playing a lot better, at least in week 5. But again, it's like if he starts playing worse, then there becomes trust issues, and then you have issues on Rogue where they're not setting up passes as much. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think a lot of people will be sleeping on E United. I think a lot of people have kind of slept on them all season. They've been consistent, at least, with their play. A lot of close series versus basically everyone. The only one that wasn't really close was, I guess, the first two weren't that close. Energy, not great, and G2 kind of ran up the score on them a bit. But after that, they were looking pretty good. They took down Space Station, and then, they take down Cloud9. So, Rogue, this series, I think, was probably one of their weaker ones from Birds, and we'll see if that happens again. But I think Birds or E United have a shot. Have a shot, for sure. It really comes down to, like, I think if Pittsburgh Knights beats Ghost here, I think that leaves the door open more for one of these seeds. It's kind of what happened in Europe last season, where I thought if Triple Trouble lost versus PSG, it opens up the door for a Dignitas. But because Triple Trouble beat PSG, I was like, they were definitely the better team than Dignitas, and I think they'll win. So it really comes down to, do the Knights lose this? Because if Knights lose this, I think they still get in. If Ghosts lose it, and badly, which is possible, then it gets scary down here for whoever plays Ghost. Or, looks better for whoever plays Ghost down here. But I'm going to go with the upset with Ghost over Knights. And then Knights get through here. So that's it for the NA Regionals. Sorry again that these videos are coming out late. But I appreciate you guys checking it out. Giblet's sick, so send him good vibes. And, yeah. That'll do it for NA. We'll move over to Europe, and that'll be for YouTube tomorrow on Friday. So we'll see you then. Bye.